This is Dan Kedmy, a producer on the Webby Award-winning podcast Masters of Scale. Our host Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, has returned this summer with Season 3. And throughout this season, he'll share some truly surprising tales of scale. We've also asked our summer sponsor, the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth, to share their own tales of scale. How did they help 2 billion people worldwide gain a foothold in the formal economy? They offered a series of solutions that you can hear throughout our show. Or you can listen right now. Coming up, how to bank in a banking desert.
I was thinking about my grandmother, who is from India. All Indian people know that where does grandma keep her cash? She folds it in a ball and she sticks it in the inside of her blouse, right? That is the safest place on earth, in grandma's blouse.
That's Parag Mehta. He's the Executive Director of the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth, the philanthropic arm of Mastercard. Parag would argue that the safest place for cash is not actually his grandma's blouse, but a bank account.
That is a very dangerous situation for grandma to be in.
Parag's grandma isn't the only one keeping a little cash under the collar. His colleague, Shamina Singh, has heard stories of migrant workers who collect all their savings under their shirts until they can send it home. Sometimes they even fastened it to their skin.
When we started doing the research, we realized that they would actually tape the money to their bodies.
So who are these workers who use their bodies to bank? They're migrant workers living on the outskirts of Dubai.
They have about 4.7 million migrant workers who come into the country from other countries like India, like Bangladesh, surrounding areas. These are men, mostly men, and they live usually 4 to 6 to a room. And they basically live, work, eat in a very small area.
Now, these laborers are working in a city that is positively flourishing with financial services. But those banks had never reached the dorms on the fringes of the city. The migrant workers, and many like them, lived in what you could call a banking desert, like food deserts.
We think about food deserts. Think about grocery store deserts. You're less likely to have a bank anywhere near those places.
And so, in the absence of a bank, the workers improvised a solution for safekeeping.
They literally will tape the money. And so they're not only doing the construction in that heat, or they're working in the fields in that heat with money strapped to their bodies.
They might have continued strapping cash to their bodies as long as they were there, but MasterCard noticed a safer place for their savings, and it wasn't under their shirt, but in the workers' pockets. It took just one nudge from the Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth to transform this banking desert into a wellspring of digital transactions. Cash paychecks were replaced by prepaid cards and a mobile solution for flip phones.
We helped point that out to the government. They demanded that everything be done digitally. And so what ended up happening was companies had to pay the laborers digitally, and it also allowed the laborers to then send that money home digitally.
And if a migrant population in Dubai can flip to a digital payment system with ease, it raises an intriguing question. Why can't anyone use their phone to bank? Parag Mehta argues that even his grandma, who's been keeping money under her blouse for as long as she's had it, could easily make the switch.
What grandma needs to do is she needs to use her little smartphone, the one that she uses to FaceTime with the grandkids, and the one that she's figured out how to operate in order to communicate with her friends. She needs to learn how to use that phone to move money. If grandma only had the ability to transact money and to do online banking, she'd be far safer.
Want to know more about MasterCard's campaign to help anyone, anywhere, leapfrog into digital banking? Then email the center at scale@mastercard.com. That's scale@mastercard.com. Want to hear more tales of scale? Subscribe to Masters of Scale on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.